Welcome to Toffee TV. It's my 3 talking points. Liverpool 2, Everton 1 at Anfield, and the 247th Merseyside derby ending in defeat, as quite often it does at Anfield for Everton. Let's not pretend this hasn't happened before, because it does. But it's a narrow defeat for us today, and I think the overriding thing for me is just a little bit of disappointment that we started the game so poorly, because we did, and it took us being 2-0 down. And maybe Liverpool just taking the foot off the pedal a little bit to get back into the game. I think once we got in the game, we were dominant really in that. It was us doing all the pushing, they were hanging on a little bit, trying to play on the counter-attack. And that has got to give Everton a bit of confidence moving forward. But the overriding thing, like I say, is the disappointment of that opening half an hour, because we've seen that performance at Anfield so many times before. Doing quite well, go to Anfield and just not perform. Play a different game than what we used to, and we've ended up losing the game, and it's frustrating, but lots of teams will lose to Liverpool. In fact, everyone has lost to Liverpool so far this season, so there you go. They're on a brilliant run. They're a brilliant team with brilliant footballers, but you can't go in and give a team like that any encouragement, and we did. Their weakness is the defence, and we, in the opening half an hour, we didn't put it under anywhere near enough pressure. We did later on, and only poor decision making at times from us has sort of stopped us maybe getting something out of the game. But it's something to build on. We have to dust ourselves down, and we will do. And got to get them out of our system, that playing as flat as we did in the opening 30 minutes or so. First thing I'm going to talk about is Jack Grealish. I thought he was excellent today. Showed up in the first half when a lot weren't. Wanted the ball. I think Jack he's such an intelligent footballer, and I think what he thrives on is having people running off him, and I don't think we had that early on enough. He gets it, he comes inside, he's looking for the little pass. Dewsbury Hall did it later on in the first half on a couple of occasions. He probably should have scored one of them, or certainly tested the goalkeeper with one. And the other one, he's cut back for a Ghana game. He did hit the target, but it was a back pass more than anything. But another good move. And I think for Everton going forward, we saw this down at Wolves, where Everton, scored 3 that day, and Dewsbury Hall made 2 brilliant runs, similar. One ended up in him getting an assist for an Iliman Ndiaye goal. The other one ended up with him scoring an absolute screamer for Everton's 3rd goal that day. And I think that's a real threat. I just don't think in that first 30 minutes we did it enough. And of course, some of that will be down to how well Liverpool played, don't get me wrong, but I still think you have to make the runs. You have to open up the pockets of space. That's what Grealish does. He comes inside, he buys that bit of time. I don't think Mykolenko got on the outside of him anywhere near enough either, because you've got to really try to push a good team like Liverpool back if you can. Otherwise, you're standing off hoping they don't take the chances, and they're a good side. They finish, they score goals every game. They've got great players in the team, so you can't give them. You've got to, in my sort of opinion, you have to almost attack, as the best form of defence, if you like, and worry them a little bit. But I think Grealish, he showed in the second half, skinned Conor Bradley, stood it up, great touch from Ndiaye, and it's lashed in by Idrissa Gana Gate to make it 2-1 and got Everton back in the game. And he bossed Conor Bradley all day, didn't he, really? And that's what he brings. He buys you time on the ball, he's intelligent. So he's been key for Everton, and he was key again today. So he was my man of the match today. I thought he had a really good game, and we have to learn the other bits of his game, what we need to be doing better as a team when he's on the ball, what kind of runs we make. He's got the creativity. Wasn't sure about his volley in injury. The last sort of attack we had off a corner, trying to volley it with his calves, but that's the way it is. That is the way it is. Second thing I want to talk about is the mentality going forward now for the rest of the season. We've lost today. There's no sort of shame in losing to Liverpool. They're league champions. They just spent near $500 million or something this summer. They bought really good players on top of having really good players. So this was always going to be a big ask today. It's been a big ask for teams like Arsenal, who are allegedly going for the Premier League title. They were beaten. You know, Newcastle are in the Champions League, whatever you think of that, and Liverpool beat them. So teams, you know, Atletico Madrid are the latest ones to lose at Anfield the other night. So, you know, a lot of teams will struggle here and struggle against Liverpool. But I think what we have to do, I believe, is take this sort of mentality, attitude shift on now for the rest of the season. We saw last week against Villa, absolutely dominated the game against a good side. But decision making in the final third sort of undoing us a little bit at the moment. We've had, you know, Brighton, we were good against. Wolves, we were very, very good against. Villa, we dominated, should have won. Leeds, opening half crap. Second half was better, but couldn't, you know, give a dubious penalty away, if you like, and lost that one. So today, it's about carrying this momentum on now. It could, like I said in the match reaction, at 2-0 after whatever it was, 25 minutes or half an hour, whatever, it looked like it might get messy. And it's a testament, I guess, to the players that it didn't. They stuck together, stuck at it, defended well. Liverpool didn't really create anything, bar a Mo Salah sort of back pass really in the end. The first bit of skill to kill, it was outrageous with the outside of his foot. It was brilliant. But the players stuck at it and shut that down, any possibility of getting absolutely destroyed and a big scoreline. So fair play to them for that. And then they had the mindset and sort of the positive attitude to get at Liverpool then and like basically by far the better team in the second half especially. So got to take that forward now, because against lesser teams, Everton will have far more joy by playing this way. I didn't like the first 30. It felt like trying to contain, and I just think when you're trying to contain, it's okay. I think if you've got top class players, you can sort of, I understand the plan. The plan is block off passing lanes, make it difficult for them to play through. You don't give any runners space. Well, we tried to play like that and did give runners space, hence both goals were runs in behind us and ended up in the back of the net. So that's something I guess David Moyes will be looking at. But I think for us, we're better getting at teams and trying to force them onto the back foot a little bit. We're going to need probably a bit more quality in that final third as well as we move forward. But I just hope we carry on with that kind of positive mentality moving forward and really try to get at teams, because I think it'll bring us more points than it'll cost us. It's a personal opinion, of course. And the third and final point, I think the manager's going to have to trust his subs a bit more. Personally, that's what I think. I think we got to see Tyler Dibbling, who showed some nice touches when he come on. We got to see Charlie Alcaraz, but they come on in the 85th minute. I think he proved it with Tierno Barry coming on at half time. He sort of gave us a different outlet. Touch was much better. Link play was much better than Beto's. His thing is getting in between the sticks, getting in between the post in the penalty area and getting good movement. And again, I've said it on a show earlier in the week. If I'm David Moyes, I'm getting a specialised centre-forward coaching to help Barry, to help Beto, about runs, about where to be when the ball's crossed in, about finishing, natural finishes. We saw with Gravenberch's goal and Ekatike's goal as well. Brilliant run. Gravenberch doesn't try to do anything spectacular, as in, or, you know, anything over, it's a great finish, anything over complicated. He just hooks it back to where the goal is. I'm just going to send this goalwards. You know, he's not thinking, I'm going to lift this over Jordan Pickford. It's on the bounce. I'm going to stretch and hit this goalwards and see if there's an issue for the goalkeeper. He finishes it fantastically well. Ekatike, brilliant run. Get a first touch in and hit it on your second touch for the goalkeeper can get steady. It's in the net for 2-0. When we've had those, not today, but when we've had those opportunities this season, Beto in particular, its first touch isn't good enough. He's then trying to set it up for a second touch and maybe a third to stop it before he hits it. Now, don't get me wrong. There's an element of having real talent and quality in that finish, and of course there is. But you can also put this in players' mind. You can teach this type of skill. Take a shot early. Get yourself a bit of space and finish. And I really think a specialised centre-forward coach would help them squeeze a bit more out of the pair of them. We're going to need it, aren't we? We're going to need it. So I'd like to see that. I'd like to see Dibbling given a bit more time. I'd like to see Alcaraz. They've got to force themselves in there, of course. But I think the manager just sometimes has got to trust those players a bit. I'm sure he will as it goes on, you know, and he did bring 3 on today, but I think you saw with Liverpool, it gave them a little bit of energy for 15 minutes. Everton then did wrestle the game back off them, but Curtis Jones just gave them a little bit of energy. Wirtz didn't do anything, but he was running around. But certainly Curtis Jones gave Liverpool that little boost in that midfield when it needed it. Everton were dominant in there at that time. And I think we've got to learn to do that a bit. You know, obviously there was no mail and roll. He got a knock in training, so he wasn't in the squad today, but when he's fit as well, he's another option. So I think as we move forward, we're going to have to get used to bringing more subs on, and those players have got to push for a place. That's how you're going to drive this team forward. I think Barry was a real positive today without being amazing, don't get me wrong. I think his link-up play was better, and we just look more comfortable in possession, which is what you need. So I'd like to see the manager doing that a bit more, getting Alcaraz and Dibbling on maybe 10 minutes earlier than what he did. Give them a little bit of time to try to affect the game, and hopefully we can move forward. So there you go. Listen, a frustrating day, disappointing day, but this was never going to define our season, this game anyway. It's September. It was the 5th game of the season. Had Everton won today, of course, we'd have all been joyous. You know, I might have done this match reaction standing on my head. Who knows? We didn't, so it's fine. But it wouldn't have meant Everton were going to fly up, you know, be in the Champions League running or whatever. It's a game of football. But we've shown a good mentality from being 2-0 down, and we've knocked it round a bit and shown we can play a bit. So it's about taking it on now and picking ourselves up. We've got Wolves away on Tuesday, and then getting ready for a massive game against West Ham, which has got to be nothing less than a comfortable home win and 3 points, and that's what we've got to work towards. They're an awful side, and we have to make sure on that night we prove to them that they're an awful side. So work to be done. Disappointing, but there you go. Make sure you check out the match reaction. Check out Angus Kinnear interview if you haven't yet. Loads of you have, lots of lovely comments. Thank you very much for that, but go and check it out. Thanks for watching. See you later.